All right, folks. Glad for coming up here. This is going to be a great one today. We got a great guest, right? People have been asking for more content, about around real estate agents just killing it on some of these new platforms like TikTok, short form content, social media in general. And we're not talking about ads, right? We're talking about real content strategies. So you're in for a real treat today because today I've got Stephen Hester out of Oklahoma. And he's got a really interesting story, right? Has had a lot of success with TikTok and other social media. And he's here today. He was gracious enough to come in and share some of his time and tell a little bit about his story. Stephen, welcome. And,
Thank
quick
you.
question for you. I mean, tell us who you are. How
Mhm.
did you get into real estate? And how did you get started on TikTok and other accounts? Go for it, man.
Yeah. Thanks. First off, thanks for having me. I'm real. It's a pleasure and an honor to come out and talk to you and all of your people that are in your Facebook group. So I appreciate that. So thanks for having me on. My name is Stephen Hester. I am a real estate agent here in the greater Tulsa area. For the people that don't know where Tulsa's at, that's in Oklahoma. So I'm a real estate agent over here in Oklahoma, and I actually got into real estate. Um, not wasn't really my first choice, right? So it was during COVID. I got laid off from my job. I was in the health and fitness industry for about 11 years. I got laid off right when COVID hit. My father-in-law is a broker, a real estate, and he's a real estate agent and a broker of a Coldwell Banker office here in the greater Tulsa area. And I was door dashing after I got laid off. I was door dashing for about 6 months. My father in law asked, he said, Stephen, are you going to door dash for the rest of your life? I said, no, I'm just trying to figure it out. And so he been telling me for like the last 5 years that I really need to get into real estate. I really need to get into real estate. I didn't want to do it because it was 100% commission. I was terrified. I was like, ugh. So I had an honest conversation with my father in law. I said, Jeff, here's the problem is if I'm not successful, then your two grandkids, your daughter, and your son-in-law are going to be moving in with you. And he said, no, that's not going to happen. Like you'll kill it. You'll do
That's
great.
funny.
So October 1st of 2020, I got into real estate, passed my exam, and that was actually my first day of real estate. And I guess I can just go ahead and cipher into this of how I do my marketing is
Yeah.
uh, I was real lucky in the aspect of the the jobs that I was doing before I got into real estate was in the gym industry, but it was really more of like running a gym. So I understood that marketing was very crucial. And luckily, really early on in my real estate career, I understood that probably 80% of my job is lead generation, building a personal brand, marketing. So I had a little bit of that background. I wouldn't say I was an expert, and I still don't say I'm an expert, but I understood that concept of like really it's going to come down to me generating my own leads and closing deals. So 80% lead generation, 20% the actual real estate lingo and working through a transaction. So when I first got in, I said, you know what, I'm going to try a little bit of everything and just kind of see what I like the best. So I tried cold calling, got my feelings hurt after the third call. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do that unless I have to.
Maybe
uh,
not.
then I went into farming neighborhoods. I realized that I didn't like walking and didn't like walking in extreme heat. So
There
that
you
wasn't
go,
going to
man.
work. So I did that 2 times. Got a lot of steps those weekends though. And then the
Nice.
third thing was open houses. And so I tried to do 2 open houses. And I realized that, sometimes you sit at an open house for 2 hours and get nobody, or sometimes you sit at an open house and get 40 or 60 people, but they're all with agents, already working with agents, or they're just looking at houses. So I got into real estate for a couple of reasons to make money, but also to have a little bit more control of my time. Because something that's your time is valuable, right? So I realized in those avenues of marketing that I wasn't in control of my time, because if I'm
Mm.
sitting at an open house, I wasn't guaranteed leads at that point. If I'm farming
Got it.
neighborhood, I'm not guaranteed leads, and so I decided I was going to do social media and be a little bit more specific at that time. When I was first getting in, I wanted to do YouTube. So I created a YouTube channel.
Oh, so
Basically,
right off the bat, like the first month in the business, you
yep,
cracked open the
yep,
YouTube channel.
yep.
Interesting.
So,
That's
so
that's
people,
rare. That's not common. Holy cow.
yeah. And so I started my YouTube channel. I think my first video was like November 30th. If you can go back and look at my very first video. And so whatever that first video is actually when I started my channel. So it was like literally like a month after I started. So I started a YouTube channel. I went and looked at other people in different markets. There was no one in my market at that time doing YouTube. But there's a couple of people doing, YouTube. And actually it's kind of crazy that these big names that you're seeing on YouTube, creating courses and things like that, we were actually all kind of the same mastermind class. A couple of those people started at the same time I did, and then they just got big, whatever. But so I started my YouTube channel, and I got my first lead after 2 weeks of starting my first channel. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is great.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to kill it. But then I found out that this person wanted to look at this property that was an hour and a half away, which it wasn't a big deal. I mean, it was an hour, about an hour away. It was in Bonita, Oklahoma. And the sale of the house was $6,000. That wasn't my commission. That was the sale of the house. And I made $123.74. I still have the check posted in my office.
That is hilarious. That's your first YouTube deal. Your first YouTube deal. First of many. First of many.
Yep, for first one. But that was a very, very blessing because first off, my wife admitted that she was wrong and that I could sell off of YouTube, sell real estate. So she made a little frame of a picture of my thumbnail of my first video and the check and a picture of the house that was $6,000.
That's hilarious.
And then also it just proved that it does work. So I just really put my head down, created video. I didn't close my next deal for about 6 months. So I think the next YouTube deal I did was in June. I basically finished that first year of real estate of June 2021. I finished the year with about 26 transactions and 5.9 million, and I became rookie of the year at my brokerage for Oklahoma of Coldwell Banker. So,
nice.
So yeah, so that's kind of how I started my YouTube channel, and then I'll hit your second question. Sorry, I'm a big talker. Okay.
No worries, no worries. Actually, I want to call something out because so a couple things happened there that I think are interesting, right? Number one, you got your first lead right away. It didn't end up being so that could have been really discouraging for someone, Steven, right? That's like, oh yeah, great. Oh, an hour away. Oh, it's a shack. Oh, okay, sure. I mean, you went through with it, you closed the transaction. So making that happen, how did that become an encouraging event? Because you said the next one didn't come for another 6 months, right? That's not a small amount of time. So tell me about that interim of, okay, this can work. The only evidence you got is that it generates $100 transactions for you, right? That's the only evidence you have. You're saying that it was encouraging for you. I put myself in those shoes. I'm like, this is not going anywhere. I got to go back to the open house. I got to go back to the heat and, knock on those doors. What kept you going? And did you just believe in the process? Tell me what that 6 month interim was like.
So this might help you or might not help you, but this is what happens.
Yeah, the truth. Lying is the devil. Lying is the devil. Go for it.
Yeah, I'll give you the truth. So I got my first deal, first actual real estate deal. I then between January to June, I got phone calls that were people that were kind of interested. So no one was really, they were still debating on if they wanted to move here. But also
you got leads. I got leads.
Right?
There we go.
Yeah. And then the next thing is I had a lot of people looking to rent for their first year. Because here in Tulsa, we have a great program. It's called Tulsa Remote. Basically what it is, it's a program that is incentivizing people to move here to Tulsa. They'll give them $10,000 to live here for a year. It's called Tulsa Remote. Very interesting program. But I get a lot of leads from that because, and that's another reason why I started my YouTube channel, because I thought a lot of people that are moving for Tulsa Remote would want to know what it's like. So I actually helped a lot of people with leases. And I don't know what leases are like in your market, but here in Oklahoma, they're nothing. I mean, I don't get paid for them. So I help people find rentals. I helped in 2021. I helped 6 families with rentals. Out of those 6 families, 4 of them bought the following year. So I was like, crap, which I wasn't, people said that they're going to, buy something the next year or in the future and, never seems to pan out, but it worked. So I helped 6 families also in that time frame. I had leads coming in, but I didn't have my first, next closing until June.
I got you. And thanks so much for that, because a lot of folks, they give up in that first 6 months. I would say 99% of people that I see try YouTube, they go hard on it for a month or 2 months or 3 months, and then they can kind of give up. I thank you so much for that information because you were getting a signal. It wasn't like, full on, 4K, everything's looking great. It's like, you know what? You got some static in there. Something's there. People are reaching out. You're starting conversations. So it was worth it to you. Okay, there's something here. It's not fully baked. It's not like this is going to drive a business. Not yet, right? You had to do. I'm guessing you had to do other things to generate business during those first few months. But it's something you gave it enough time to bake. You gave it enough time. You had some patience there.
Right, right. And so the other thing that I did during that time was I was doing social media, so I did like Instagram, Facebook. I wasn't doing TikTok at that point in 2021, but I was doing Instagram and Facebook. And what I did on those platforms, because on my YouTube, I was getting a lot of out of state traction, right? I wasn't getting local business, getting a lot of out of state business. So on my or on my, Instagram and Facebook, I would do like little quick, like home tours. I would show houses, their video. I was a lot more active. So I showed a lot more of my like day-to-day life of taking the kids out, doing stuff for fun, all this stuff. And so by doing that, I generated some business from people like, called center of influence, COI or SOI.
People that were in your friends list reached out.
Right. People in my friends list. So I had one transaction, and actually the first time I listed the house. So I sold my first house in December, sold my second house in December, and that was a buy sell. That was actually a connection I had from a previous job 10 years ago, working at the YMCA in the front desk. Wow. She saw my social media. She liked how I was entertaining to watch. So she called me up and said, "Hey, Steven, we're looking to sell our house. Would you help us?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I'd love to."
Why not? Right?
So
you had a multi-channel from the beginning. So it wasn't just YouTube. It was you kind of took this marketing thing seriously. It sounds like, right? So you went on and did the YouTube channel. You also went on and got on the social Facebook and Instagram. What was that? And so you were just posting content, like you're saying, family content. But you weren't doing that before real estate. Does that make sense? That true?
Correct.
I mean, so you were all in once you were doing real estate.
Yeah. So a lot of people ask me like what my social media looked like before I got into real estate. And I said, go back and look. I mean, I haven't deleted anything from literally, I think my first post was this fitness challenge that me and my wife were doing. And then we went to like the state park. And around that time, I think boomerangs were really fun and cool at that point. So there's a boomerang of my wife and my kids going down the slide. And those are literally what I did on social media. I did not do social media at all. Like before I got into real estate, I do social media now for the only reason that it brings me business. Like, wow. It is not a leisure. It is not fun.
The job. This is the job.
This is how I generate leads. But if you were to go look at my social media, it would look like that I'm having a great time. And I do have a great time. It's not like I'm having an awful time, but people want to watch and be entertained. They want, I say it's, you need to have two things when you're making content, at least for me as a real estate agent. It needs to have some value and it needs to be entertaining. And the perfect combination is when you have both. If it's bringing value to the viewer and it's entertaining, then you got something.
So you get on the socials, right? And with it, you're closing deals within 60 days. It sounds like, right? Within a couple months. I mean, people are reaching out. What did that process look like? You just grabbed your phone and like went live right then and there? Was it like something you think it through a little bit more, or was it just like every day doing that?
Through it all, and I think that's the reason why I was successful early on is because I didn't overthink it. Like,
got it.
I'm very lucky and blessed that my personality, like I'm just like one of those people that's just like, hey, I'm not going to get embarrassed. Like I'll go out, I'll do whatever, I'm not going to get embarrassed. I'm very comfortable in my skin. So that's a huge blessing. And I understand not everybody has that, confidence, which is fine. But my thing I would tell them is just start. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to look horrible. Like go back and look at my first YouTube videos. Like, I mean, my lighting was all off. Like I was like this close to the camera. Like it was horrible. But that video has produced so much money because people, I think in this day and age, don't want perfect. They want real. They want people 100%. To basically like
authenticity.
They want people to be honest. They want people to be real. They don't want to be all dolled up. Like literally, I shaved for you today. My face is usually not like this. I actually did my hair for you today.
There you go,
I
man.
normally wear a snapback. Like I don't, and that's just me. I have jeans on today. I don't even know why I wear jeans because you can't see my legs. But I'm just,
You
I be authentic. I'm real, and I just try different things. And I think that was a big thing because I was trying to find myself in social media of what it was going to work. So I tried a lot of things. Like people don't realize, like when they go to my Instagram and TikTok, I have quite a bit of followers now on Instagram and TikTok versus when I first started, obviously. But I tried a lot of different things. I did, some of the same stuff I was doing on my YouTube channel. I was doing, food reviews and all this other stuff. Like I was trying a lot of different things, and eventually I found out what clicks and was bringing in more clients.
I gotcha. And so there was a process of, experimentation. There was a process of kind of finding your voice. Do you find, I want to ask, because you're a practitioner and you work multi-platform. I'm always curious about this. Do you find that you end up making separate content for every platform because it's that different? Or do you find that you're reusing a lot of things? I'm always curious about that.
Yeah, no, I reuse everything. And this is the way I look at it. You're going to have different demographics on different platforms. And that's proven. You know that, I know that. So I'm going to have, a lot of baby boomers and millennials that are on Facebook. I'll have a lot of, Gen Z or X. I forgot what the younger
Z.
Gen Z that are on Instagram, but mostly TikTok and Snapchat. And then you got millennials who are all on all platforms because they're just trying to stay relevant, right? I mean, I'm millennial, like I'm on all platforms because I want to be, I want to be cool with the baby boomers, and I want to be I just want to be accepted into a group, right? So I post on every single platform, and that's the reason why that mostly all my videos are 59 seconds, 0.9. Because I understand that for TikTok, I can have shorts, I can have videos all the way up to 10 minutes. On Instagram and Facebook, it's a 90-second, but on YouTube Shorts, it's 59 seconds, 0.9. I used to not post on YouTube, but then I got a lot of feedback from people that I helped move here. They're like, man, we really like seeing like those, burger videos and restaurant videos and things to do. Like it's fun to watch that kind of stuff and get us excited about moving there. Can you push more to YouTube? And I was like, well, crap. So had to,
give the people what they want. Give the people what they
exactly.
want.
So, and I want to make it easy for myself, right? Like I don't want to have to create content on all different platforms, because if I was to do that, and this is just me reflecting internally of like what honestly I would do, I probably wouldn't post on any of them because it's too much work. So I'll just make my content, make it be able to be spread out across all platforms, and that's what I've done, and that's what I'll probably continue to do. So
I love it. And Stephen, tell us about the process, because that was early on. It was kind of like just go for it, just get on the camera, just make it happen, make it fun, make it entertaining. What's your process look like now, right? Because you're still multi-platform. Now you've got short form content on multiple platforms, not just the longer form stuff. What is do you have a calendar? Does this like happen still kind of your inspiration based? Like, hey, whatever you feel like that day, you just keep to it every day. What does it look like right now?
Yeah. So I'll back up just a little bit. So I got on YouTube, right? That was more of like moving out of state. After 2021, I had out of my 26 transactions, 22 of them were out of state buyers. So 4 transactions were local, friends
People
list.
Yeah.
That was 4 people. So if I went back and looked at it, like I would have made $1 million, like $1 million in production, like, whatever that is in commissions. But that was it, So I was like, well, thank goodness I did that YouTube, because that produced an extra 4.9.
Way more.
But in 2022, I wanted to do something a little bit different, because I wanted to build more of my local business. I wanted to build clientele in my local area and build my personal brand, because in YouTube world, they thought I was some sort of celebrity here in Tulsa where no one was using me or knew me. So that's why I really ramped up my social media of Instagram and Facebook and all that other stuff, because I didn't really post too many short form content in 2021. It was mostly through stories, a couple of carousels, a couple of videos, but I wasn't really doing much with it. So In 2022, I decided like, hey, I'm going to really build my local audience, and I'm going to do that through video because I already
That's
know
so funny.
how I'm
Got
going to
it.
do it. So, well, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I was just going to try a bunch of different stuff. So what I did at that point is I did a lot of home tours. I called them minute homes. So basically, I'll basically like speed up my camera footage and walk through the home in under 60 seconds, and give information about it. And then I did like, all right, I'm just going to do voice talkovers of me walking through homes. Then I was like, I'm just going to explore Tulsa and give people information. I also tried to do like news updates. So I would pretend like I was a newscaster and say like, hey, going on in Tulsa this weekend, we have, a concert, a baseball game, all this other stuff. So I was trying a bunch of different things in 2022. And at that point, I had 700 followers. I just started my TikTok and I had like 500 followers. And then on Instagram, I think I said Instagram 700, and then TikTok I had like 500. So I had a really big audience, but in 2022, that's what I did. I tried all those things. I was continuing to posting on stories of just, showing people my daily life, also, dropping hints that I'm in real estate and creating value, giving people entertainment. And so in 2022, I didn't really grow much in followers in things like that on TikTok or Instagram, but I finished the year at 10.9 million and then 36 transaction. My out of state buyers at that point were about 25, and the rest of them were my center of influence or my friends list. So the Instagram thing worked. Also, I found out a couple of those out of state buyers actually found me on Instagram and TikTok
Interesting. So YouTube.
versus, and that's the thing. And the reason why I tell that story is, once again, not to brag, but to let you know, when I did 10.9 million in production,
Wow.
I didn't have thousands of followers on TikTok or Instagram. I had less than 1,000. And I produce those type of numbers. There's this Instagram person or real estate agent out of she's out of Michigan, I believe. And we're part of the same group. And I always looked up to her. I'm like, oh my gosh, she has like 100,000 followers. Like, that is crazy. Like, man, she must be doing so many deals, like blah, blah, blah. And then I come to find out that at the end of that year, she did 8 million, which is fantastic. Like, that's awesome. But then I was like, wow, the follower count doesn't really matter. It's
Exactly.
matters about what type of content you're putting out and if it's getting in front of the right people. So that's
100%.
and that's why I tell that story, is just because it doesn't matter about your follower count. Just keep on producing content. And then and then I can go into basically how I grew my channel if you want me to my platforms.
Yeah, that'd be great because you're already having some success with relatively low follower count on Instagram and TikTok. I look at your TikTok now, you're pushing 40,000 followers on that account. Holy cow. So something happened between early 2022 and now that really kind of blew that up. So what was that process like? Go for it, man. Take off.
Yeah, so my content didn't really grow tremendously until the end of 2022. The market started slowing down a little bit. I tore my Achilles.
Ouch.
So I was a big pickleball player. I love pickleball. Do you play pickleball?
I don't, but my
Oh,
brother-in-law is is way into it. So
so it's
I know the
fantastic.
craze. I know the craze.
Fantastic, fantastic. I tore my Achilles playing pickleball. So I had a lot of extra time. And so I really tried to figure out, and I was talking to one of my buddies who's a lender and also pretty big in social media. And I was creating these content, and I had one video that blew up that was a burger review. Um, and so at
Mm.
this point, I think towards the end of 2022, I had like maybe 7,000 on TikTok because I had a couple of videos that kind of went semi-viral. Didn't really have any rhyme or reason. They just went, a little viral. My Instagram, I think at this point was maybe like 1,200. I grew up maybe like a couple of hundred on Instagram, which for me at that time was crazy. And then on TikTok, I grew a little bit, a couple thousand. But I had a friend that told me, hey, you had really good views on these burger reviews. You need to double down and do another one, like another burger review. And I said, okay. So the first one, I got like 80,000 views on TikTok, which is for me at that time fantastic. So I
Yeah.
did another burger review and it went to 500,000. And I'm like, holy crap. And he looked at me and said, do another one. So I
That's
was like, all right. So
hilarious.
I did another one and it had like 250,000. I'm like,
Wow.
oh, snap. And he's like, do another one. So I did another one and it got like another 500,000 views. And he's like, do another one. And then that one got like 100,000 views. And then after having 5 burgers in 5 days, I was like, dude, I'm done. I'm tired.
That's enough.
So by doing that, I kind of just doubled down. Like whatever content was working, I doubled down on it and I just started creating more of that. So then that kind of got me into more of the food reviews. And then once people started discovering my content, they're like, man, we really like this guy. So then I was able to expand out to doing, visiting places here in the greater Tulsa area, giving people information. I'm actually going to start doing a lot more video tours on my Instagram and TikTok. And a lot of people kind of give me some backlash on this and say, Steven, like, why would you do that? Like, that's not the reason why your followers, follow you. I mean, I'll still do the other content, but once again, I didn't get into social media to be a celebrity or an influencer.
Influencer, yeah,
I did
exactly.
it to sell houses.
I
That's the
got you.
reason why I
I
got
got you.
into it. I mean, I'm
That
so
makes sense.
lucky that I love the way I market, but I could be just fine not posting on social media anymore. I could be just fine.
I
Uh,
got you. That's crazy, And one of the things I mentioned before we jumped on here is that it can be a little bit hard to tell that your TikTok account is in fact like a real estate focused account too, right? Not you've got different kinds of content. You got a certain type of content, like stuff for kids to do, events happening, for families. There is like a huge lack of that. I mean, if you have like younger kids in any city in the US, like the number one thing you want to find out is what festivals, museums, events that I can take my kids to this weekend, right? So that we're not going to the same 3 playgrounds we always go to like every weekend, right? So that's just knowing the market, responding to what people want to see. So I love that. Like you're mixing it up, you're trying different things, but you're trying to maintain that real estate. Like the core is real estate, but you're adding things on top to entice people to come and follow you.
right, exactly. You give them like I mentioned at the very beginning is you want to give people value and also mix it with entertainment. So if I was talking about real estate all the time, the people that I'm going to be getting the attention of are people that are ready to buy and sell now, which is
Yeah.
good. But most likely they might have another agent, or they might be getting bombarded with all this information. But if I can mix that in with some valuable information that gives them a connection to stay with me the long term, they already built that relationship with me. Then when they do see my next home tour, they're like, oh yeah, that 918 agent guy, he also sells real estate. I've been watching him for years. I would love to use him. He seems like a really cool dude.
I
And
love it.
that's the type of interactions I have with people when I go out into community. And it's really cool to go with my wife to like restaurants and stuff because I usually get stopped at least once, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're the guy on TikTok. You're the 918 agent." I'm like, "Yeah,
That
man.
is so
Like,
funny, man.
it's so cool." And a couple of them have said, "Man, when I'm ready to buy a house or where I'm ready to sell my, I'm calling you next. I'm calling you first." And I'm like, "Dude, awesome. Let's roll.
Love it.
Let's rock and
Love
roll."
it. I
So
love that. I love that.
it's
Yeah,
it's
because you're becoming like, I don't know if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk or not, the marketer. He says, he always recommends real estate agents. You should become the mayor of your town.
Mhm.
And you're doing exactly, I don't know if you knew about that or not, but you're doing exactly what he recommends, saying
I
there's
gotta
very few people doing that local content, that local flavor, and becoming the mayor, not through home tours, right? That's like you said, that's a very specific niche. It's very niche down. It's a very certain kind of person looking for a bunch of videos about homes. You're doing local content. People that like to live there, that would like to live there, that want to know more about the local community. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So it's actually a funny story about Gary Vee. So I'm really big into pickleball. Like I love pickleball. And so there's a league of professional pickleball called the MLP, which is Major League Pickleball. And Gary Vee owns a team. I knew he owned a team, but
That's hilarious. Didn't know
I
that.
didn't know what team it was. I honestly I didn't know. Like I just knew he owned a team. I followed his content. I'm a fan of his. I'm just not like I'm not a V Friends guy. Like I'm not that hardcore into it. I like
Right.
them, whatever. But there's a couple of players that I absolutely love in the professional pickleball circuit, and both of them were on the same team. It was a player called Leah. Her name is Leah Jansen, and then Annalie Waters, and they became on the New Jersey Fives. So I was like, man, I love this team. I love them, and I love the two players. Come to find out, that was Gary V's team.
Ah.
I'm like,
There you
oh,
go.
cool. I like Gary Vee. So actually, I went to a tournament earlier this year in Daytona, Florida, and Gary Vee was there. And
Awesome.
it's super funny because a lot of people that are going to these professional tournaments are like my dad's age, so they're baby boomers. So when they saw Gary Vee, they just know him as, oh, that's one of the owners of the pickleball team. They don't know Gary Vee.
The persona, like the guy, right?
So
That's funny.
after the game, I went to the bathroom. I walk out of the bathroom after the match, and he's literally just standing by a tent by himself. I'm like, well, shoot, I'm gonna go talk to him. I sat and talked
Wow.
to him for like 15 minutes. The guy you see on camera is exactly the same guy that they talked
It
to. For.
strikes. I would does
Yeah.
not that surprising. He's always on like boom, boom, boom. You tell him about your what was that conversation like? Now I'm really curious.
So this was so I tore my Achilles in October of 2022. I'm sorry, November of 2022. It was the day after Thanksgiving. And so we went to this tournament. I believe it was, when did we go to that tournament? It might have been April. April. So I already had my big push on TikTok of just creating local content because that's when I had my big blow up. And so I just told him, I said, hey man, like I just want to let you know some of those, videos that I've watched you where you say just try to provide value, the jab, 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 right hook mentality from his book. Was it Jab, Jab, Right Hook? I think that's
Yep,
the book, or
that's about
Crush It. Um, that's kind of where I based it off of. I mean, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Gary Vee, but I still follow his content. And I think he's a great guy. So I use some of that stuff of just, providing as much value as I can. And then hopefully, it'll pay off at the end of the day, which it always does.
I
If
love
you,
it. I
you
love it.
if you put enough positivity and value in the world, it always comes back. Always
I
comes back.
love that. And what did Gary say? No, what was his
Oh, I mean,
reaction?
he was excited. I mean, he was like, "Dude, I'm so proud of you." I mean, we talked about my Achilles. We mostly talked about pickleball, honestly.
Oh,
Like,
there you go. That's
I
awesome.
mean, we were. I mean, he probably talks about social media all day. He probably doesn't get to talk much pickleball to people, and I'm
Got
a
it.
huge
Got it.
pickleball fan. And he actually talked a lot to my dad too. I mean, my dad didn't even know who he was. He was
That
like,
is so funny. Who are
"Hey,
the
how you doing,
owners?
David Hester?" He was like, "Oh, I'm Gary," and they're just talking. I'm like, "Dad, you just do not realize who you're talking to right now. Don't
That's
know."
a future owner of the New York Jets, right? So
Yep.
that's
Yep.
an awesome
Future.
story.
Yeah, and his partner Ryan Hayward, he's a co-owner of the New Jersey Fives. Really good dude. I actually me and him talk on social media sometimes. They sent me this whole big care package of New Jersey Five gear because the following tournament I was following it, posting it, all that good stuff. So.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome.
so it's a great sport. Gary Vee, you brought him up, so I was like, oh, I gotta tell him the story. So I have a
Yeah,
picture
it's good.
of him.
I
Uh,
appreciate
I,
that.
I
Yeah,
can
I
send it
was
to you for proof. I can send it to you.
because I have my picture. Well, I never met Gary, but I was on one of his shows like early. I don't know if you remember this. Early on in the pandemic, the Tea with Gary Vee. You remember that? Like he did that for a few months because he was locked in New Jersey, could
Yeah.
not leave his house basically. So he just did a call-in show, like a guest. I was on here. I was on the show.
Really?
I followed him pretty intensely that year, and I was like, I just messaged him until they let me in. Like boom, got in there. That's my claim to. That's my Gary Vee story. I was on with him like on a Zoom call like this. Was and we
Oh,
talked
that's
for.
crazy.
Yeah, pretty. That was more of a marketing thing, like more of a business thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would have been more excited to talk about pickleball later, but
Oh
that
yeah.
was
No, it was
that's probably the extent of my Gary Vee story. But let's walk it back to
yeah.
to the other topic. I want to ask you, Stephen. So two questions I want to get to, right? Two big
Right.
ones. So now that you're mature in this, you've been doing this for a couple of years now. Actually, it'll be like 3 years in a few weeks. So nowadays what do you find that there's a difference between the kind of profile of lead you get from the different platforms? Because you mentioned early on that YouTube was primarily people that are searching, people outside of Tulsa, like out of state buyers trying to relocate. That YouTube has that profile, that persona. Have you found that to be true with TikTok and Instagram, Facebook? Have you found that to be true with those? Is there a different persona, a different profile that you've encountered that tends to come from that platform? And do you think that's true or not?
Yeah. No, I think that is true. Now, I would say on YouTube, it isn't really like I can't tell you on YouTube that it's always, clients that are usually purchasing between 200,000, 500,000. I get a widespread, but it's the position that the client's in. So with my YouTube leads, it's always someone looking that's moving from out of state to, or that lives out of state that is moving to Oklahoma. That is 100%. I have never had someone call me from my YouTube channel that is local. I mean, I had a couple people that live in the different metropolitan area of Oklahoma City. So that's a separate metropolitan area from Tulsa. It's on the other side of the state. I've had 2 people that reach out to me that found me on there that are from Oklahoma City, but most of the people are out of state. Now to go to Instagram, TikTok, and those places, I have a little bit of a following on there from people that are from out of state also, but most of the people are usually millennials. I've had a couple leads through Facebook that have been baby boomers, but I would say probably the majority of the people that I get from my leads of TikTok and Instagram and Facebook are mostly millennials.
Got it.
Now, the type of client I get, it ranges. I mean, I have some people that are looking at $100,000 houses. I literally had a phone call from a guy that is looking for 1.2 million and is moving from Minnesota. So I literally went from 6,000 to 1.2. I mean, it's a wide range. And the crazy thing about my YouTube channel, and I'll get back to my Instagram and Facebook, is my father-in-law helped me on an inspection one time. I wasn't able to make it to an inspection, or I'm sorry, a final walkthrough. I wasn't able to make it to a final walkthrough. I had to go down to Texas. And so he's like, "Here, I'll cover you." And I was like, "Oh, well, this is one of my clients from, my YouTube channel. They're from Florida. Shouldn't be any problem, whatever." So he was thinking he was going to meet up with some like tech millennial because it was one of my YouTube leads. He comes to find out, I mean, this guy's in his, mid to late 50s, has, a son that's, a couple of kids that are teenagers. And so he was like,
oh, wow.
It is a wide range of people looking.
Absolutely.
And I've helped a lot of people to move here that are retired. I've had probably 7 or 8 people that have retired from other areas that are just looking to move to Oklahoma for the cost of living aspect. But I would say probably TikTok and Instagram are more of the millennial crowd. I haven't had too many, baby boomers or in that generation reach out to me on those platforms.
I got you. That makes sense. Yeah, and the other question we'll get to is some of these videos. I mean, the production is nice, right? You've got that speed up, you've got the panning, you've got the, it's well edited. Some of the content is really well edited. Let's see the shorter ones, right? That you don't have a lot of time, and you get several takes in there. You'll speed it up, you'll slow it down. Is that you right now? Has it always been you? Do you get someone else to help you with that? Because your videos look pro. They're really
thank
good.
you. I appreciate that.
Ones.
Yeah, so I used to edit all my own videos from my YouTube channel to my short form content, which I still do edit my own short form content. But about middle of 2022, I got so busy because I finished the year with 36 transactions. So about halfway through the year, I was like, gosh, I cannot keep editing this because I was tired of staying up till 2:00 a.m., editing. But what I've come to find out during that whole entire process of me starting my YouTube channel is actually I really enjoy editing. Like I really, really
That's funny.
But I had to pass it off. So I actually hired an editor. They do an amazing job. If you ask me, I think they do 10 times better than I can. And so I just had to pass that off. And so at that point in the middle of 2022, I really amped it up, my short form, because that was my outlet of being able to create and edit my own videos. Because me editing a short form instead of editing a long form where it took me 4 hours, editing a short form could take me 20-30 minutes, even less than that. I mean, sometimes it's 10 minutes depending on how much footage I have. So I literally just practice and tried different things, tried different transitions, tried different clips of how long they should be, try different hooks. And so, I mean, I have posted, I think, over 300 videos. And wow. There's this TikTok video that says, don't quit on something. I think Gary Vee says this is like, don't quit on something until you have posted like 300 or 400 times or something like that. I forgot what the quote was.
You're there.
Right.
You learn. Yeah,
You learn so much.
100%.
So I do edit my own short form, but my long form now.
So you started your on your own 100%, and then only last year did you really kind of transition to helping out with the long form stuff, the more longer form videos. That totally makes sense. And if you were, and everyone thinking about this, oh, this worked 3 years ago. I already know people are thinking. I know I can read your minds. People watching this. I know. But here's the question, Stephen. If you were starting over again from scratch, right? You got your license, September 1st, 2023, instead of October 1st, 2020. What, if anything, would you do differently, or would just go by the exact same playbook 100% over again?
So when I first got into real estate, I thought I missed the bubble because it was like 2020, the most real estate market's going crazy. All my friends are realtors, whatever. But I asked my wife, I was like, man, I think I came to the game too late, Taylor. I don't think I'm going to be successful with this. And this was in basically September of 2020. And she said, Steven, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Do you know when the best time to plant a tree was, Steven? I said, I don't know. When is it? She said, today. I said, dang, okay.
Boom, mic drop moment. How about that?
I was like, dang. So that's one of my favorite quotes. My wife's a genius. But she told me that. And so if I was to start over on September, or, today, my real estate business, I would do exactly the same thing. But I would feel more confident in it because I knew it worked. Like, if I had to start over, but I still had the same knowledge and same experience, I'd be like, dude, it works. Like, I just need to put an effort, and then also understand this is the one downside to social media. Cause there's, I've been talking about all this good stuff. It's really hard to put analytics to how many leads and how many closes you have. It's super tough, you like I was telling you about my friend up in Michigan of having over 100,000 followers and things like that. It's really tough to put say like, all right, if I shoot 20 videos, I'll get one lead, or if I get a 500,000 views on a video, that will produce a couple of leads. I really look at that as personal branding. And I try to get, and what I figured out with me in the social media of how I can get more closings is to start conversations, to connect with people, to build my personal brand is through the videos, but to build relationships and connect with people, I have to do that through actual communication with other people through those platforms. And that's when I realize I get the most deals, is when I actually create conversations through them.
I got it. I love it. I totally agree with you. It can be a little murky, right? Especially if people follow you on more than one platform. They discover you on, let's say, a platform like TikTok, which is very easy to discover people. I love that you've got your YouTube channel right there. Like, hey, YouTube, they can follow you there. So where did you? And if they contact you through YouTube, where did they come from? They come through the talk, or do they come through YouTube? Like, what is it really, right? So I completely understand that issue. I would say that's probably where like paid ads has a little bit of an edge, where that's more trackable, but potentially more scalable. But I will tell you this: I coming from a guy, I've done a lot of prospecting and online leads, but the biggest source of business for me, Power ISA, is my content. It's the number one source of business, always has been. Referral recommendation and the content, and the experience of acquiring a client through cold outreach or through online leads and someone from content is like night. I mean, the person coming from the content is like, let's work together. Like, I'm done. I've watched your 18 hours of videos. I'm a fan. I want to work with you. Like, that's usually how it goes, right?
Yep.
My team, usually an appointment coming from online leads, like a 50% close rate or a 40% close rate, right? Like something like that, versus someone coming from an unpaid ad or from cold outreach, it can be a 10% close rate. And that's not bad, right? A 20% close rate. It's not that bad, but that's normal. And it's a completely different experience. They're like, they don't already know I can trust you. Oh, really? Okay, well, then this is what. Yeah, so you're starting from zero and you're trying to build that. You're kind of fighting against them in a sense, versus people coming from content, in my experience. Like, like you mentioned, they want to work with Steven. They want to work with Gustavo. Like, hey, I know you already. Like, we know each other. You've taught me you had all this value. I want to pay it forward. Let's work together. Have you found that to be true as well? Like, that's just like,
oh yeah,
people like they already know you.
Yeah, I was talking to a group of agents earlier this afternoon, and I told them, I said, I haven't been in the industry very long, but I have never actually done a listing presentation. I mean, I've probably listed
I almost spit out my coffee there.
like 15. I probably have listed maybe 15 to 18 houses over my 3 year. I mean, I'm more of a buyer agent. It is what it is. But I've listed about probably 15 to 18 houses, and I've never done a listing presentation because people are just like, hey, I want to work with you. Like, you're the best. I'm like, okay,
Come on
sure.
over. Come on
Let's do it.
over. It's a come list me, right? So yeah.
Let's list the house. And also, I don't when people call me for realtor services, I already assume that I got the job. Like
Wow.
I don't ask them whatever. I'm just like, hey, when do you want to start looking at houses? Are you pre-approved? Like, I just go ahead and pretend like we're already working together. So I don't know
I
if that
love
has
that.
something to do with it, or if it's they just watch all my videos and they feel like they already know me. So that's
Yeah,
probably
100%. And and this is so funny because we had someone here in the group a couple months ago, Brandon Frazier. He's out of Edmonton in Canada, and he said that he started like that, and he got a lot of pressure from his brokerage, from his broker, from peers saying, I mean, that's fine and good. This TikTok, the social media, and that's nice, but you got to figure out the cold calling and the online leads too. And he took their advice, like put down the content a little bit, try to do the other ones, and he absolutely hated life. He goes, why would I do this? Like, this is like really much more difficult. You're competing against everyone else in the marketplace. They have no idea who you are. And he goes, and he took the, thank you for the advice. Take it right back. And he quadrupled down on his content. He quadrupled. I go, this is exactly this is for me. If that's real estate, I want to real estate. This real estate I like. That real estate I don't like so much. So this is me. So I mean, if I could give you any advice, you're already killing it. You don't need much advice. It is you're doing it the right way. Like, don't change. Like, do not. Right. Anytime someone says, oh, but the scale, you need more videos. Another social media network, maybe, right?
Do more.
Do more. Like, do more of what works. Don't mix up the other stuff because that's another way. And there's many ways to skin a cat. You are probably on the most desirable way, right? That path, right? So, I just want to say that kudos to you, Stephen. Congratulations. You're doing a great job. I'm going to keep following to see where you go next. It's going to be great. And, any parting words, if people want to reach out, talk to you, ask you some questions, what is the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, so I mean, probably the best way to get in contact with me is through my Instagram. It's THE 918 agent. So the 918 agent. That's probably the best way to reach out to me, and I'm pretty much an open book. So
love it.
Questions, hit me up.
Awesome. Stephen, thank you so much. Appreciate you. And you're always welcome to come back. I love it. It was a great conversation. Seems like a great guy. I come from contribution kind of person, value first, and I love it. Thanks so much, Stephen.
Thank you.